the Sad Dads Club podcast. Here's everybody's favorite sad dads, Jim and Boo.
The Key Pro. How long has it been? 10, 15 minutes?
Well, the time code is time of day, so it's not a countdown.
You can't see how long it's been running?
No.
I'm going to say it's interesting.
If I was doing a different kind of time code.
The moment that we had a second to sit down across from each other, like the catharsis began.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's the thing.
Hey, man.
I haven't seen you in 2 weeks, bro. Yeah.
Like, I already feel better, and it's been 10 minutes. Like,
I mean, you were gone. First of all, you went to Alaska.
Yes.
Right. And, hey, welcome to the show.
And thank you to Dave, and thank you to Mike. And there's context coming there for Mike's step in last week.
Yeah.
I have...
You've been gone.
I have. And I have a lot of shit to go through, and I'm definitely...
Do we have enough time?
No, absolutely not. And I don't know if my voice could go the entire duration anyway.
Right. You start cracking out.
But that last week, the last week in June, we did an Alaska, essentially an off-grid fishing trip just outside of Ketchikan, Alaska, which those of you who are geographically confused, really, it's like the bottom chunk of Alaska that's probably more Canada than it is Alaska. Like when you think deadliest catch and crab fishing and
far away from there.
And that string and Sarah Palin being able to see Russia from her house.
Yeah.
This is not it.
There was Tim Hortons there is what you're trying to say.
It's cruise ships and Tim Hortons. It's the southeastern part of Alaska. Super gorgeous. In fact, fun fact that I learned from my hotel rooms, facts from Ketchikan, it is the northernmost rainforest in the world.
Really?
Ketchikan gets they're more known for rain than they are for snow, which people probably wouldn't picture Alaska in, but it is a largely...
There's a Safeway there.
There is. I never made it to it.
Sorry.
But my uncle did, and Budweiser is available.
So I didn't know where you went. I mean, I knew you went to Alaska, but I didn't know exactly where you were going. And so now I have to put some... Oh, so there's sort of a sound there. You got like a lot of inland waterways.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of islands, a ton of islands.
Okay. I see. So it's the little droopy down section.
Yes.
The
panhandle.
It's like a very narrow section of Alaska that drips down into British Columbia.
Yes.
All right. So
the very fringe.
Yeah. So you're pretty close to the border there. And you get a lot of there? You didn't notice any of that?
I watch a lot of Canadian homesteading stuff. So there wasn't a lot of A's, but there was a lot of I identified a lot of Canadian verbal intonations, long vowel. Hey, okay, well, all right. Yeah, like the O's.
Yeah.
Are uniquely Canadian and some, but not a lot of but you could tell there was Sarah Palin out there, a little bit north.
Right.
Get in there and go fishing.
Right.
Some of that.
So so were you on the outskirts of town then?
So we flew in to Ketchikan itself.
Okay, so that's across the water from the actual town, it looks like.
Right.
Okay.
Then we took a ferry, which was roughly 2.5 to 3 hours, to another island, Prince of Wales Island.
Okay.
Essentially, the dock is known as Hollis, and the island has two towns, and I can only remember the name of one. The one is Klawock, spelt with a K.
Okay, I see it.
And from there, we got a boat that was roughly 20 minutes to the private island that had the lodge on it.
Okay. Interesting.
So we were 2.5, probably 3.5 hours in total from Ketchikan itself.
So you ride on the 924, Highway 924?
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's a fucking maritime highway.
Oh, really?
Yes, it has a number and a something
Interesting.
like a digital signification. And the island itself is it's off grid. So if they have their own set of generators. They had just started getting into like solar power. They had some panels,
Okay.
but not and some batteries. And that was a general like topic of like my brother and I were super fascinated by is like, oh man, like the opportunities and the bleeding edge of using renewable energy with battery backups to like help instead of substituting generator time when everyone was out on the ocean, like fishing, they would run the generators. But Brett and I, by the second or third day, we're like, okay, so what is the wattage consumption? Like, how much would you need to pull these guys off of the generators entirely?
When you start breaking down electrical usage,
yeah,
right, to see how much power you need to produce and how much power you need to use,
yeah,
it starts getting really interesting.
Oh, yeah. Once we got over the being tired part, and they're also 1 hour behind. So when it was 9 here, it was 8 for us. So we did gain an hour on our way out there, and it didn't really play into it much at all. But the topic of using renewable energies to give you amenities so that it kind of bridged that gap from modern tinkers and whatnot. They did have AT&T did have limited service, and they did. It reminded me. Wanted to get on like Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. I kept looking around for like Donna asking me to hold a pole because the AT&T MiFi that they had that would get signal was essentially on a pole with a repeater and high gain antenna pointed at it, and I'm like, I've held something like this for Donna, who was across another ravine from me, in order to get portal shit.
Yes.
I'm like, where's Donna? Donna would love this. We're actually doing this right here, like fucking portals and shit.
But for real usage.
Yeah.
And if an eagle farts too close to it, it doesn't work.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Or if totally. Fucking believe that. And most people didn't fuck with it at all. I would certainly use it to check news if I had a moment, but no one was preoccupied with. It was always the MiFi was always on. I would send out pictures on occasionally to a couple people, but really I was trying to walk back from it.
Right.
They did have. There were like springs on it, so it had water, filtered water. They. Most of the water was captured. So they had everything on the roofs, and because it's rainforest, they had plenty, except climate change. While we were up there, it was the hottest it's ever been for the longest string of days, and people were like, normally it's wet as shit and cloudy, so enjoy the sun. The tourists, the cruise ship, it's a major cruise ship berth. So there were tons of tourists there who were just like, I'm sure having the greatest time because they were expecting, cold, cloudy,
dreary,
get your umbrellas and take it everywhere you go kind of shit. It was 80 degrees, sunny. For the people that were locals, it was hot as fuck though. Mm-hmm. And us coming up there from down here, we're like, well, 80? Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Right on the ocean? Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
But that meant for the lodge that we were staying at, who fills up their cisterns with captured water, we had to be mindful of that. They had flushable toilets with a like macerator sewage system. So you had a toilet, you pooped and peed in a toilet, but you couldn't put your toilet paper in the toilet. So you did have wet wipes and you did have toilet paper, but you had to put it essentially, anyone who's been a parent, you probably had a diaper pail where you put your poopy wipes in the pail.
Yeah.
If you can get past that part, it was all the creature comforts that you would expect from a normal hotel was there with the removal of society at large.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely intoxicatingly calm
and super quiet.
It was. And I had told the hosts, I guess what I would call them, towards the tail end, we kind of had like a comments and questions thing with a very limited audience. And I told them, because the bulk of the experience is built on fishing. So we're on the ocean, and you're going out daily, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, fishing. Thursday was a free day. Friday is crack of dawn.
So we're talking saltwater fishing.
Yes, this is the. I don't know. It's the Pacific stretch up there before it changes into something else. It's salt. It's salt water. Yes, it's salt water. And what was super cool was that the placement of the islands knock down like waves,
tidal waves.
You would know if you went to Bodega Bay or you went to Monterey or anything along the coast. It's tidal waves are crashing, lapping against, and it's like, oh well, here comes the fucking tide.
Yeah.
The placement of the lodge itself and the addition of all of the islands help break waves that you don't really see it.
Yeah.
You don't really know. And it was super fascinating to be. It was more like, it wasn't really sand beach. It was like pebbles. It was a lot closer to probably some of the raw. Maybe someone might recognize from like the Big Island in Hawaii. It's river rocks and various volcanic rocks of football, baseball size, not real sand. You could stand on I'm going to say beach, and you could
the shore.
Yeah, the shore. And you could watch the tide come in like at a millimeter at a time. It was, if you were someone that didn't like water or had some sort of phobia about being trapped in a slowly rising current, it would have been scary as shit, because it just
kind of came
in.
It
just edges in, never stopping. You better move. Here it comes, like death by turtle kind of shit.
Yeah.
It was like, and to be able to watch it and see it like overtake a pebble or a leaf or a rock, as opposed to like going to Pismo or something and a wave crashes and you're like, well, where was the line? Where was it before? And now it's made an inch on you.
Right.
This was like,
just
here I come.
Like a pool filling up with a garden hose. Yeah.
Super interesting to see the experience that I've had being at Hawaii when a tide comes in, Maui, whatever, or here on the California coast and you see the tide come in, or the eastern coast. It's different there because of the blockage of the islands.
Yeah, you got a difference between busy ocean wave water and not.
Yeah. And it was super calm. We would step out onto. I would have my morning coffee out on the deck or on the dock, and you would think you were on a lake. It would get that calm.
Right.
It was sometimes hard to like square that circle. Like, I'm on the ocean. This is the ocean. It's salt water, and yet it has the calmness of a lake. Like, I would love to have had a wakeboard boat. I mean, it was that awesome, kind of thing.
That's cool.
But the like I said, the trip itself was built around salmon fishing or rock fishing, halibut, stuff like that. So I had told the host, I'm like, I came here honestly. I made a joke to Ian last year. I said, I just didn't want to do technology stuff. I wanted to come and just unplug. The last time I was fishing, certainly deep sea or ocean fishing, was probably 25-something years ago with my dad. We went out of Bodega Bay, and I hadn't been on the ocean in probably 5 years at that point, and I got seasick. So I was like, I don't really care. I used to fish a lot, but the last time I fished, I got sick. It was ocean, and really, those times I think I went because Dad said, let's go fishing. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I've grown out of fishing, love camping, but fishing, not my bag. So I told the host, I said, I'm just looking here to unplug. You really have to, you don't have to, but they encourage, we're going fishing, put a pole in the water, and you're always reeling and you're always doing something. Now, I don't know, are you a fisher?
Used to fish a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Any ocean?
Never any ocean, just always freshwater fishing. Like, I mean, we used to go to Yosemite all the time, so would fish the Merced River.
Mm-hmm.
And then in high school, friends Scott and I we'd go fishing at Nimbus Dam or American River.
So you're not, you know the...
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We didn't catch anything.
Right, okay. So they take us pretty much out to like the fringe of the islands, or the Monday, the first day that we went, our skipper actually took us, we went around a corner and we're staring at like Deadliest Catch kind of shit. It's open ocean. There's no more islands to help break shit up. It is, I think that day it was 7-foot swells. So we're in the shit. We are looking for rockfish, which it can be anywhere between probably 5 and 10 pounds, halibut that can come in any size, like all the way up to probably 70. No one caught something like that. No one on our boats caught something like that. Coho salmon, which can go anywhere between 5 pounds and maybe 20 pounds. 20 pounds probably would have been high, way high for the season that we were there. And Chinook salmon, which they call king salmons. And those are anywhere between 15 and 45, 50 pounds. So these are fish that will put up a fight if you're catching the kings.
Right.
I had such a great time fishing. I think I caught...
Does that include catching? Oh.
Yes.
Okay, good.
So we caught, and we were early in the season, so we weren't... I only think one person, my uncle, caught the only king, and it was 25.6 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So that's a cool story all on its own. The most of us caught silvers and a series of rockfish, so the little guys. I think the first fish on our boat I caught, and we had pools. Of course, it's a bunch of dudes, so we're all doing money pools and shit. But no one could corroborate if the other boat actually had someone that caught their fish before mine, so we just ended up throwing that out. But I caught a number of silvers, and a number of rockfish, so like a white meat type of fish. It's super serene to just, this is my function. I'm just doing this. I cast. I hope I catch something.
I'm chilling.
And some of the rockfish aren't really fighting, but the salmon generally would. My uncle who caught the only king, and they would, when we would bring it back in, that, like I said, that has a super cool story on its own. They would fillet and clean the fish, like right there, it's fresh. And then they would, the facility, the lodge itself, actually had like a packing and storing cabin, I guess. I can't remember what name called it. Anyway, they would clean that on the dock, then take it up to the cleaning station or the storage station, and then flash freeze it, vacuum seal, flash freeze, and then box stuff up.
Wow.
So a full legit program. They cut us off a chunk of the king salmon, and we're talking it was caught maybe an hour and a half in the ocean. They cut us off a huge fillet. Ian, former brother-in-law, but always a brother, Then Flash froze that for 30 minutes because salmon can have parasites, so you kill the parasites. And he sashimi'd that right there. So within 2 hours, we had king salmon sashimi that we caught.
Right.
So it was the freshest fucking sushi you could possibly imagine, outside of having it on the boat and a freezer on the boat so that you could kill the parasites so it was safe. There was nothing fresher than that, and it was absolutely amazing.
Nice.
And that puts I didn't come here to fish, but it puts such a cool wrapper on the experience of fishing that even though it wasn't mine, there were so many positive takeaways from it that it was like, well, I'm a fisherman and I like fishing. It was such a great experience. It really was. And I told the host that. I'm like, I came here for this. I didn't really care about that. And we're here at the end. And I regret nothing about getting on the boat anyway and fishing. It was super, super amazing, super cathartic to just do nothing. And it was we had eight or nine people, so we did take out 2 boats each time. My brother generally was on my boat each time, and my dad actually on the first 2 days was with some of my uncles, his brothers, and I think Ian and Ethan, so his grandson and former son-in-law. Our boat, really good deckhand. We were all chummy. It was generally talking the whole time, cracking jokes, talking about fishing, picking the skipper and the deckhand's brains about fishing and where we're at and how the Garmin is working its sonar and picking up fish and like tactics on, how to this. Always a very talkative boat. On the last day, my brother and I were like, we want to fish with our dad. Like,
right.
Want to fish with our dad. The husband host manned that boat, and so we're like, we'll ride on your boat. The first 2 days we were with the wife on her boat. I had no complaints of, but like chatty boat. The Wednesday that we went out with my dad, the husband as a skipper was also the deckhand, so he was like one-man band kind of thing.
Yeah.
He just approached it very different. He was like, here's what you need to know. Here it is. Bait your hook. And we'd already had
no nonsense.
No nonsense. We'd already had 2 days on my brother and I had already had 2 days of fishing, so it wasn't like we needed help understanding what we were doing mechanically with fishing. It was like, take us to the spot, we put the bait in the water, and we do the thing.
And you have catch it or not.
And it bites or it doesn't.
Right.
But being on that boat with our dad, it was very reminiscent of you're in your own mind space. You're just quiet. You're just finding your own serenity, and the boat takes it out, and you reel in, and you're watching the water. Tons of whales. So I'll wrap this part up. So my dad's boat was very much just we're fishing, unspoken calmness.
The good old time was just the chill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was it. And it was like we didn't need to say anything, and it wasn't like someone wanted to say something but wasn't. It was just I'm here with my brother, I'm here with my dad, and we're fishing. And somewhere midday, and this was I don't know if my brother picked up on it. My dad reached into his pocket and gave my brother and I butterscotch candies. And that is something that he hasn't done since I was under, middle school. Easy, like not even a teenager. It was just something that my grandpa and my dad used to always have these fucking butterscotch candies. I can't tell you that, I'll tell you. I'm not really a fan.
Okay.
But it was just something that the adults did and grandpa did as like here, Have a piece of candy.
Yeah.
Sunflower seeds and butterscotch candy. You want a piece of candy? Here's a candy. They always had one. Maybe it was to keep them from smoking or chewing tobacco. I don't know. But it wasn't until he had reached in, like, why the fuck would Dad have butterscotch candies in his pocket? This motherfucker planned this moment to share with his sons. And it wasn't until we were back, and I was like, it was weird that he happened to have, and I think it was, maybe I'll ask him, maybe I won't, because maybe it's important to him that it was just an unspoken thing that he just shared with Brett and I. But it was like, that motherfucker, he knew. He did a special thing.
Before he left.
Yeah. He filled his pocket with at least 3 butterscotch candies so that he could fish with his sons and give us a candy like we were his little kids. And I went, fuck, man, that was cool.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn. My dad's still sentimental as fuck. He's a big old teddy bear.
Yep.
Goddamn. Whales. Tons of whales. And I have been to, I don't know if you've been to Maui on any of the whale boat.
We have.
From the aquarium?
Didn't see
Really?
any. Yeah.
Now, I've been on those. I don't think I've taken anything out of the bay to see whales, but we have done the, God, what's the name of the aquarium in Maui?
I don't remember.
Something aquarium. We have done the...
Obviously.
Yeah. Way to go, Foo.
Captain Obvious just showed up.
Turns out it's a... Yeah.
We did do one in Monterey.
Did you?
But we just saw a dolphin.
Oh, we saw no dolphins. Tons of whales.
Yeah.
If you'd have told me that it was a whale watching lodge, I would have got my money's worth. We saw whales, humpbacks, constantly.
Did you hear him too?
No.
No?
No whale song, but heard, close enough to...
Smacking and...
Yes. I saw more, I don't know what you call them, features, whale interactions than I'd ever seen, and more whales in numerics in the multiple trips of the Maui whale watching stuff that I've seen in Alaska on a single day in Alaska.
Wow.
It was absolutely such graceful creatures.
Don't tell my wife because she's going to want to go now.
Yeah, we saw like fluke breaching. We saw like whale breaching. The side, not dorsal fin, the lateral fin.
Yeah.
Like slapping. We saw a whale that was essentially doing that, but he was doing like side barrel rolls. So flap, and then flap, flap. Like, what? Like with his dorsal, not his dorsal fin, his tail, like at an angle, and then you would see it rotate, and then the other one come up, and like, so he's full on doing a dryer cycle tumble.
Yeah.
As his like side fins just flap, 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 flap. Like,
it's Maverick.
These kids are just fucking around and playing in the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, we saw one do a bubble net.
Oh, that's really cool.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, and we're talking within 20 to 30 yards of the boat.
Wow.
And even the hosts who were running the skipper of both boats were like, we haven't seen this much whale stuff ever.
Wow.
Ian, who's been to this lodge multiple times, had not seen this much whale interaction ever. So he was getting tons of net new stuff out of it. And for me, who hadn't seen like the sparsings of Maui, which I don't begrudge, but this was another level. It was like, fuck it. If I didn't catch any fish, the shit I saw of whales was paid for itself.
Nice.
It was whale watching for free.
Yeah.
Like, shit, it was amazing.
We went fishing, but got whale watching too.
Right. Yeah. Super fascinating. Super fascinating.
Yeah.
Towards the tail end of I think it was Wednesday night. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we fish. Thursday was a free day. So they essentially allow you to. They'll take you up a couple like river inlets if you want, and like you can get if the salmon are running upriver and doing the pink and spawning and then dying. If they're doing that, you can essentially stand in the river and catch salmon,
the crusty salmon.
It's like why? But when you catch them and you let them go, and then they fucking die right there.
Or they're like skins flaking off. And shit.
That kind of stuff. Yeah. Like you can see the salmon running and then stand amongst them if it's that time. This roughly some of the same locations. You can see bears actively fishing. So there was a couple of things to do. I was taking the opportunity. I'm like, I'm unplugging. I'm not doing shit today. I'm going to sit on this deck with a cup of coffee and just do nothing. I packed my Nook to read. Nope. I'm like, I just want to sit. I'll maybe go on a walk with my brother, like walk along the shore and see some of the just random shit going on. They did have kayaks.
Didn't ride them?
So I'm going to get to that.
Oh.
Because that's got its own thing. So Wednesday night, we're kind of looking into the Thursday, like, well, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm unplugging. It gets towards sunset. Now, when I say sunset, when you're that far north in Alaska, this is
3:30 in the morning.
That's sunrise. Sunset goes like into a twilight for hours upon hours, all the way up till 10:30, 11 o'clock. So this was, I was going to say sunset, but it was probably somewhere about 9 o'clock, 10. We're looking out on the horizon of some of the islands, and Ethan and I see this huge dorsal fin come up out of the water, and it's unmistakably an orca, killer whale.
That's cool.
And it's enough in the distance that you're like, I can't really give that any scale. But if you've ever seen some of the captivity killer whales, and you know that their dorsal fin is curved because that's just something that happens when you're domesticated in that manner or kept in something small. It was significant. Like, that's out there, but that is unmistakably large.
Yeah.
And we're kind of like, and the place where the lodge is has a small, God, I don't know, 300 yards to another island. And then by island, I mean very small. And it has like a sandbar in between it and its larger parent island that was of significant size. But this thing is about 300 yards from the boats and the dock to this tiny island thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're watching this killer whale orca maybe an eighth of a mile out towards the ocean itself. And Ethan start to go get my dad. Ian has loves orcas, loves them, but has never seen one while he had been in Alaska. So I tear off to Ian's cabin. Hey, fucking. He's like, I thought I heard whale. I'm like, well, I don't know. How the fuck? How do you hear a whale from? Anyway, apparently he identified a sound, but didn't think anything of it. I'm like, it is right out there. But it had disappeared by the time we got back to the dock area where we were hanging out. And I'm like, fuck, man, whatever. So I went inside to get a drink. Can't remember, maybe 15 minutes. And I hear, oh, fuck, it's back. Fuck it, it's back. And it had come and started swimming essentially the gap between the small island and the dock. So we're talking that 200-yard distance, 300-yard distance. It's swimming in between. That fucking dorsal fin was massive.
Really?
4 to 5 feet.
Really?
I don't know what was underneath the water, but that thing was huge.
Yeah.
Like, it was huge out on the horizon, and right here it was massive.
So you kind of wonder, like, what is he looking for?
Yeah. Now there were sea otters in between, but they all feet. We're like, fucking sea otters ain't fucking around. They're like, fucking peace. We're out. We're getting on the dock. We didn't see any, but they peace outed real fast. So a lot of people got video.
Those are just snaps.
Right. Ian got to see it. Everyone saw it. And then it came back through again a little bit later. Everyone got to see it again. And it was like, wow, fuck. Like, to be blessed with that opportunity to see that. The whales were awesome. But then to see that and then see the scope and size, like right there. And then
wild orca.
Right. And then Thursday came. We're like, well, what do we do? And someone's like, we go take the kayaks out and go over to the island. And my brother and I went, yeah, but there's a killer whale around here. Like, and you're in a kayak that has a body shape. Like, I have seen a killer whale. Like, and it can clearly go between here. I'm at the 11th hour of this trip.
I don't think I want to get eaten now.
I don't want to be killer whale bait.
Yeah.
Like, no.
I might even be a little nervous in a boat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When you see the size, you're like, fuck, that thing is bigger than the cabin. Like,
yeah.
I'm going to fuck around.
Yeah.
So we were but Brett was dead serious about it. He's like, can't see the bottom. Killer whales out here. Last thing I need to do is tempt fate and be like, oh, yeah, I'm going out here. And then I put an oar in the water, and that looks like a fucking sea otter flipper.
Yeah.
And, and then everyone's making jokes like, oh, yeah, but you wouldn't taste like a seal and it would back off. He's like, would it, though? To what extent does a killer whale need to bite down on you to realize, oops, I made a mistake?
Oh,
and will I survive that? Brett was like absolutely noping out of it. We got somewhere about midday, and I kept eyeing it, and I'm like,
so it was out there for a while.
It was just that evening, just Wednesday evening. But we were apprehensive all Thursday day.
Like, there's kayaks, but I don't know.
But no. And they're like, well, because the hosts were kind of trying to get us to like, you don't have to. We have some stuff that you could do if you want to. And we'll take you over here, or the kayaks, and then the jokes would start running about, I ain't killer whale bait. Like, no, I'm good. But as we got closer to just past lunch, I was like, when am I going to be here again to kayak in Alaska, that on the ocean, that far, to then go and explore something that I probably will never see again?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to go kayak. I'll do it.
You did it?
And Ian was like, can Ethan join you? Ethan didn't want to do it by himself.
Oh.
But I'm like...
But he wanted to go.
But he wanted to go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, absolutely. I'll take your ass over there and we'll do it. And we made a couple jokes, but in the end, I was already like, I mean... And if
you're still here.
You
made it.
I'm still here. It was okay. It was an amazing bonding experience with him.
I think you missed an opportunity to tell a story about how you were in the clutches of the jaws of
a killer whale.
Killer whale, yeah.
We certainly made our jokes. So like as we were putting on the life vest and we're getting ready to shove off the shore, I'm like, I need a couple things written on my tombstone: a loving father, a fantastic friend, the greatest husband, and the best tasting killer whale bait.
That's right.
If I don't make it, I need those things. And Ethan was like, I want people to put my destiny power level, my power light level on my gravestone. And I'm like, I got some respect there because he's a alien face shooter as well.
Right.
So he kind of hit me in the tenders there with his destiny reference.
That's funny.
A great conversation with my nephew. It was just like a him and me stuff. We weren't shooting for anything specific, any sort of life-changing experience, but we just had a really good conversation out there, saw some stuff. We picked up trash because humans are trash.
Yep.
There's no beach. You can't go anywhere on this fucking planet without seeing humanity's dipshit shenanigans. Alaska is no different. So we picked up trash. We piled it where we could and then told the host, like, we left some trash. We found some broken bottles and plastic. Left it in a place to pick up. And then we paddled our ass back as fast as we could so we weren't killer whale bait.
And then you're turning around looking just in case.
Right. And how fast? Super great experience.
Yeah.
Super great.
Awesome.
We had my dad. They had a really. I mean, it made some of our cornhole boards here look regulation. It was like OSB, no coating at all.
Right.
And so it was like, yeah, hopefully you catch like a splinter and it just, it stays on the board. We were round robining a bunch of people in the games, and none of the fucking adults wanted any part of it. I think it was probably because they were worried they'd throw out a shoulder or something. Hashtag old guys.
Right. You're working on it.
Yeah, we worked through a bunch of the cousins and nephews. Finally, I think my dad jumped in a game with his nephew, and my dad is a big horseshoes guy. That generation above me, all my uncles and aunts.
I really like horseshoes.
Horseshoes.
Yeah.
I remember every family gathering. We haven't done those. A family gathering where there were horseshoes in probably almost 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
But that under or over 30-year period when I was very, very younger, horseshoes everywhere. I can hear the clang of the horseshoes hitting the bars in the ground. Like I can hear that in my mind, like I can hear beats of a song from, first slow dance kind of shit. I haven't seen my dad play cornhole, but there's a lot of translation there that he had to work with.
Yeah.
So he's playing my cousin, and my cousin's got the youthful vigor on his side and a couple games, but my dad starts just straight up draining bags into the hole.
Really?
Like, okay.
Here's some muscle memory.
Yeah, watch this. And my dad gets up on my cousin, I think like 10-0 fast. Now, they're also playing some shenanigan rules that they're making up on the fly, and it was too far gone for me to try and correct anybody, but they're like making up all kinds of scoring. Well, I'm not going to get in the middle of this. We're too far gone. But my dad is up on my cousin by bags upon bags easy. And he puts, goddamn, what did he do? He had 2 or 3 bags around the hole with 1 bag left, and my cousin is still like fucking hoping for bag ground land and roll onto the board kind of shit. And with my dad's last bag, he just nothing but nets the hole and sucking down the 2 bags that are on the hole, it's the rim itself. Right. And I have never seen my dad do this. Because it is something from our generation and younger. He drains this bag, and then he kind of like looks off and just kind of like the ultimate shade glare. Like he just...
You had it coming.
Yeah. There was dripping with swagger. Like... dripping. And I've never seen my dad be that arrogant and audacious, but yet he did it, so he earned the right. And he just straight up shamed my fucking cousin.
He owned it.
Shamed it. And everyone who's... we had multiple intoxications going on. The uncles that were watching it, my cousin's dad, who's watching his own son get absolutely obliterated by his brother, and Ian... Brett and Ethan and I are just absolutely rolling with how funny it was to see my dad act like a straight up punk to my cousin. It was hilarious. And then as my dad got closer to game point, he had 4 bags. His first bag, he straight drained for for match, and then dropped the rest of his bags, like mic drop. Like, swished it, looked over, dropped his bags, and went, game. And my brother and I are just losing our shit. Like, and then he starts walking up the stairs to get his beer, and he's like, mic drop. And my brother went, what the fuck? And he, brother, he's like, did Dad even know that word? Like, what the fuck?
Who are you?
Yeah, who is this? Holy shit.
Nice.
It was an absolutely amazing experience.
That sounds fun.
I had a great time. I can't recommend, if you are someone looking to find a way or a place where you can get off grid in a small setting, away with a community of people that, even though it's touristy, it's did remind me a lot of like Maui, some of the rural places. Like, everyone was super cordial, but yet it's touristy. The hosts that we were with were very nice.
What was the place you stayed at?
Eagle's Wings.
Eagle's Wings?
Eagle's Wings Lodge. I'll put a link in the description, and we might tweet it out or something as well.
Yeah.
I had a really, really great experience. I really did. You know, I don't get out enough to know if the pricing model was competitive or if I paid too much.
I don't think it matters.
But then we walked away with, I don't know the poundage. And so what you do is, at the end of the trip, you don't get your fish. The fish is all cut and filleted and cleaned and then packaged in aggregate, and then they just divvy it up to everyone equally. So we got, I want to say probably 20 pounds per person. So my brother got 20, I got 20.
Of different kinds of fish.
King salmon, coho salmon, rockfish.
And how do you get it home? Does it?
So it's frozen and
dry ice or something?
It's they package them in
coolers,
like wax lined cardboard boxes, and it was roughly maybe 2 feet by 7 to 9 feet, depending on. I think we had like a 20-pound box. My brother and I. They had different size boxes, and it kept. I mean, we're only 2.5, 1.5, 2 and 2, 4 hours away. It stayed frozen. Most of the frozen, you know, it didn't thaw. I'll put it that way. It did not thaw to where I would have been concerned about it. My dad had a longer drive after he arrived than any of us. And he's like, yeah, it was still frozen, but, you know, it was, you know, if you left another 3 or 4 hours, it would not have been.
Right.
You can bring your own coolers, but they offer these things for free. It counts as a checked bag. But between my brother and I, it was, you know, fine. But 20 pounds of fish.
And were you guys the only group on the property?
They only take 8 to 9 people.
Oh.
And we filled up. So we consumed all of their cabins. They have multiple, and that was their, like, the orientation. So they had a couple, like, two-person cabins spread around I'm going to say floor plan, but the property, where Ian and Ethan had a cabin. My Uncle Larry and James, my cousin, had a cabin. The two hosts and the deckhand had their own cabin. The cook and assistant cook had their own cabin. And then my dad, Brett, and the other uncle, we stayed in the main lodge upstairs, and then there was one bedroom downstairs. There were beds left for probably maybe 2 or 3 more people, but it seemed perfect for an 8 to 9 person footprint.
It sounds fun.
Yeah, it really was.
That sounds awesome.
And then my brother and I, like, towards the end, we couldn't, like, escape the off-grid part. Like, oh man, how would you design this knowing, like what's the power consumption and a lot of propane usage. Oh man, saunas. Are you a sauna guy?
I mean, no.
So
really.
you could do. I mean, as far as showers went, it was like camping showers. If you were going to take one, please make it quick. You know, get what you need done.
Yeah.
That isn't like a teenage.
Scrub your junk and go.
Yeah, it's not a teenager 30-hour affair kind of thing.
What?
Yeah, my daughter
Would not make it.
would. Well, it would be fast.
Or Chandler for that matter.
Yeah. But they had a wood-fired, like, Finnish sauna, so a hot, dry with the water bucket and stones kind of thing, with a pot belly cast iron stove. They had one of those there, and my brother, myself, Ethan, and Ian partook in one night, and then my brother, Ethan, and I took part in it the second night. God damn, I miss that. I love saunas, and it was super rejuvenating. Like, you would get in there, sweat the fuck out, and then you would step outside, rinse off really fast in cold water, so you get that, like, punch and shock. Now, I don't know if you've seen it. I think Sarah, #Hey Sarah, has loosely talked about this in part of, like, her COVID recuperation. Like, cold showers are like a growing thing now to either switch to cold showers or substitute showering with, at the tail end, flash yourself with a cold thing to help, anyway.
Briskness.
Yeah, I haven't delved too much into it, but I'm sure Sarah has, and so she knows exactly what I'm talking about. But I've always done that with saunas, and that first day, man, I felt brand new. And clean. I did not take a shower the entire time I was there. But I was not smelly, and I did saunas at least 2 days. Felt clean. All my junk and shit was clean.
That we're aware of.
Right. God damn.
Feel bad for the guy sitting next to you on the way back.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Jeez.
Probably got COVID. #JetBlue. No.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Shit. Saunas, man. I forgot how much I missed. Now, Venus, when we were just out of high school, her mom's place in Katati had like a 2-person inside her house. God, I loved being in that thing too, and I forgot how much I missed like a hot sauna and then that quick flash. Like, my skin felt super clean and like super conditioned. My beard felt super soft. Like, I have not, and I oil my beard and condition it and brush it and shit like that. I have never felt my beard so soft as I had those 2 days. I had sauna'd, cold showered, got back in and sauna'd again. Like, it was super soft. And now that I rub it, I feel kind of sad because Venus won't know what that was like. Anyway.
I mean, I prefer a spa, I think.
Like hot tub.
Hot tub.
Obviously, the power consumption of a spa.
Yeah.
Now, which is not to say I've seen a number of wood-fired hot tubs. I mean, you could do the same thing. You just
A black cauldron over a fire.
right. You just light the shit and
Fart in
soup.
it. Yeah.
Do it.
I mean, I don't have a spa or a sauna or a hot tub. Or
I don't
whatever,
even think.
but
no, our Planet Fitness doesn't have one.
no,
We
don't.
used to do that. #Hey Grant. I think one of our gyms used to have, maybe CalFit did? I can't remember. But it's been a while, and I forgot how good it makes me feel.
Yeah.
Like, you're not in there to turn yourself into a fucking baked potato.
No, it's just yeah.
Yeah.
It's a relaxing.
Right.
Yeah.
And you rub yourself and you get all the particulates and stuff off you. You're sweating it out. Everything, your pores all open up.
Yeah.
And then you kick yourself with that cold water.
I've just never had an opportunity to use one. One place we stayed in Germany had a sauna that was part of the hotel.
Really?
But we didn't use it. Never didn't use it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Just haven't had an opportunity.
You can't really make one for cheap, which is a depressing thing because I looked. I'm like, fuck, where could I put?
You gotta like buy one and have them come out and put it in your house somewhere. And then
Yeah,
it just takes up a bunch of room.
Right. I'm like, hey, I was gonna go to Fiji, but instead I put it in a sauna
Yeah.
so I could have a soft beard.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's my beard conditioner.
Yeah. And then, I came back and then I got COVID
Yeah.
somewhere when I was out there.
So that's cool.
So fucking that's amazing.
So do you have any idea where you got it?
I have a good guess, and it would involve me shaming a family member.
Uh-oh.
So I don't.
You're not going to say that.
I'm not going to say that. I will say that there is no certainty of that. I will tell you, and I guess this would be my disclaimer. I wore, my brother and I, the moment we entered SMF, Sac Metro, we were wearing a mask.
Yeah.
As soon as we got to the curb, wearing a mask. Entered the airport, wearing a mask. My dad showed up after coming through because he left with my uncles. My dad got all the way to us at the gate in Sac, and he wasn't wearing one.
And then you shamed him?
No.
Oh.
He said he broke his band in the TSA line, and he asked for one. So from that moment on, my dad wore one. Some of the other family members did not. That's their choice. Apparently, I get to pay for it. But my dad, brother, and I wore a mask in all the airports. I didn't police my dad on the plane. We didn't all sit next to each other. But I believe I saw him. I wore my mask on the plane the entire way. My brother did, and I'm pretty sure my dad did, but I don't know for certain. When we got to Ketchikan, we spent most of our time outside. We did not wear a mask. We didn't go inside anywhere. We went into one restaurant, but we were eating, couldn't wear a mask anyway. The 2.5 to 3 hour ferry that we rode from Ketchikan to Hollis, we did not wear a mask there. Is it possible we got it there? Certainly so. We were then surrounded on a private island with 5 people who were not part of our family that showed no symptoms at all. So I would have to believe that we didn't get it from them. And then we took a ferry ride home that we weren't wearing masks on the ferry. So it is possible we got it there. Should we, in hindsight, have been wearing one even there? Yep. And that's a miss.
I mean, if you're outside, I wouldn't think that would
We weren't outside on the ferry. It was like a big cabin thing. But in hindsight, if I'd have just stood outside the entire time, I would have been able to scratch off the ferry. When we got to Ketchikan, inside the airport, I was wearing a mask. So it was rinse and repeat for me. I wore a mask on the plane the entire way, through both stops. I was odd man out on our way home, so I presume my brother was, but I don't know anything if my dad did, and certainly my uncles and cousins. I don't know because I didn't see. But once I was into the airport, I was wearing a mask, and I came home for Friday night, and my protocol was I tested before I left. So Friday evening or Saturday morning, I tested. Not because I was expecting something, but because if I did, I wanted to have like a bookend. Like, well, I know I'm clean here, so if something happens, then I didn't get it there.
Before I left.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then my protocol was when I get home, when Venus picks me up at the airport, like we did with Piper and Maui, we had Piper swab in the car before we even got back to the house, kind of thing. So I was like, you test here. Venus was intending to bring me one when I came into the airport. So that way, before I got home, I would have my bookend, like test positive. She forgot it, but she was wearing a mask in the car when she picked me up. So it was like, we're still in protocol. Not that we expected anything.
Right.
I got home, I took a test. We're like, well, I'm going to scratch this off so that way, and I tested positive. I have been asymptomatic the entire time. I have nothing bad, which is probably shooting myself in the foot because now I can't say if I forgot something or if I miss an appointment or if I'm a terrible friend or a terrible dad or something like that. I can't say I have long COVID. I am fine. Like, and we wouldn't be doing this show here if I was positive. I took my test yesterday, finally negative. So after 11 days,
it was one of those things where I was like, well, we're coming up to another show.
And I was running through tests. For me, I was taking a test every 2 days. So here was like a side thing for me. It was having not felt anything wrong. It was starting to become like a mental tax to then get like fungo batted with a positive test. Like I got stuff I need to do. I would grocery shop and I don't want to impact the kids. So I'm sleeping and rotating out, and I'm wearing a mask everywhere. My beard is extra short because wearing a mask 24/7 is fucking a pain in the ass, especially in your own home. So, and quarantining and keeping people segregated, eating separately, I was gone for a week. I really wanted to have relations with my wife. And she wanted a snuggle. So there was like some comfort stuff that you just like, oh, I'm home and I wanted, and it was like, fuck, now I'm positive. So all of that stuff gets shelved. And then Venus ended up testing positive, I think 3 or 4 days later, midweek. We're both of mind, based off our protocols, that it was relative to her office because she also had, towards the end of the week, of my week in Alaska, she had her like bestie at work test positive. So it's possible, but uncertain. I mean, it could have been at the speed in which I got hit. She could be from me, or she could be from work, and I don't really shame anyone either way. It's zero fucks there. Know. But she ended up testing positive. So then you had this thing where we're trying to juggle, and it hit her a little bit harder than a flu with like alternating symptoms almost like every day. We made a joke last night. It was like, pick us like a wheel and like Mikuni's for like your birthday with like symptoms on it. And it was like, you spin it 3 times a day and you see what you get. Like sometimes she'd have hot flashes. Sometimes, like yesterday, she had headaches, the runny nose, a scratchy throat, the coughing, the sneezing, and watery eyes.
Just cycling through them.
Total exhaustion. You just spin the wheel and see what you get.
Yeah.
I feel for you if you're someone that has suffered with something, certainly more than I have. But certainly don't look down upon someone, because there's all kinds of mental struggles the other way. Mm-hmm. If there are any takeaways here, be proactive with your testing. It's okay to test. And and I was telling my dad the same thing, because my dad tested positive, Ian tested positive, Ethan tested positive, Brett is negative. One uncle did test positive, and then another uncle tested negative. So it hit us. It hit the team that went.
It was definitely something when you were all together,
right,
for sure.
Right. But I was telling my dad, the only way we would really know is because I chose to test.
If everyone did what you did,
right,
you would have known that somebody
probably going into the island was carrying something.
Possibly.
Yeah. but not with certainty, but certainly better than, well, only one of us took a test. Maybe Brett took a test, but I don't know with 100% certainty.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't really know, especially with my type of case, asymptomatic case. I tested positive that Friday night, and then I told people to test. I told my brother to test and told my dad to test. And then my dad tested positive the next day, and he was like, oh, well, yeah, I guess, kind of midweek I sort of had the sniffles. And I'm like, fucking... But here we are. So if you're going to travel, it's okay to take tests before you leave. You're not trying to shame someone by saying you got it there with another person. It is in your best interest because, again, your symptoms may be a fucking twister wheel of randomness, and for that other person that catches it, and you're not testing, and you just go about your day because you're not wearing a mask because you're like, well, I'm just going to the grocery store, and you're a positive carrier like I was, but 100% asymptomatic.
You have no idea.
You have no idea. You could hurt someone.
Yeah.
You could hurt someone.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm glad to actually live that lesson in the real. This is not hyperbole. This is not like a fanciful thing I read off the internet. I tested positive. I felt fine. I would have gone about my Saturday and Sunday as if I was fine into the public. Again, I wear masks, though, in public, but I may have gone somewhere and not put it on right away in a parking lot or had a random sneeze that could have been triggered by pollen or something and hurt someone.
Yeah.
It is okay to test. It is okay for you to wear a mask. If you're someone that's maybe just wearing the cloth masks, wear the KN95s or the N95s. If you can afford it, wear the best quality mask you can. Please wear a mask on your airplane. If someone wants to give you shit, fuck those guys. Have some compassion. In public, crowded indoor spaces, wear a mask. Please wear a mask.
My daughter got confronted at a...
VidCon?
No, at a store in Southern California.
Really?
Yeah, it was right after she went back to class down there. She was wearing a mask at somewhere. And some dude just started going at her about the fact that she was wearing a mask.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And there's no way, and here's the thing, how you deal with that mentally or verbally with the person that confronts you, I have no advice there, because as someone that gets socially anxious, while I was prepared for that with Xander when we were in D.C., and I was prepared for that with local family, if they were to give me any shit, it's like my choice. I'm wearing this mask, and I'm okay with it. But I ain't going to debate you on it. I'm not a beta. I'm an alpha. I'm choosing to do this to protect myself and my family, period. End of story.
Right.
Unfortunately, the veracity of whatever variant I got and my letting down of guard in the face of perhaps some family or on that ferry, I reap what I sowed, and I accept that. But in every other case, and the lesson learned that I have picked up from this is that I am emboldened to continue to wear a mask in public anywhere. And I am okay with that.
Yeah.
Everyone in my family is empowered and emboldened to do the same. And I presume that they'll do so.
Everyone's got a choice to make. It's just what choice you decide to make. Really?
Yeah. And I choose to protect people.
Yeah.
Even the ones that I don't know, and even the ones that don't care for me. It's okay. You can't shame me, and I'm good with it.
Right.
Then now we are at that time.
We're already at time.
I didn't even get into penis pouch underwear.
Wow.
My garage door that's completely retrofitted and awesome.
There's plenty of time for that.
We'll get that next week. Do you watch Stranger Things?
Oh, yeah.
Do you?
Oh, yeah. We're all done.
Are you?
Yeah, we're caught
We
up.
have a fascinating talk for next week then.
Okay.
I'm going to leave it at this. Don't answer. So here's the thing. If you continue this conversation, what would your song be that grounds you?
Oh, geez.
Okay, you think about it.
Yeah.
Next week, that's your homework.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We will catch you next week. I'm glad to be back. Thanks to Mike, Dave, and Tony for filling in for me. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the shows while they were contributing. We will catch you next week.
Yeah, don't forget to wear the mask.
Wash your hands.
Wash your ass.
Return the cart. Check
your oil, Tony.
Register to vote and vote.
And do the kindness.
And we'll catch you next week.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.